History has known many kings, many warriors, many conquerors, but only one man conquered the known world before his 33rd birthday. He was fearless, brilliant, ruthless, and obsessed with immortality. Born a prince, dying a legend, his empire vanished, but his name never did. More than 2,000 years later, the world still remembers him as Alexander the Great. Alexander was born in 356 BC in the Macedonian capital of Pella. His father, King Philip II, was a hardened warrior who transformed Macedon into a military powerhouse. His mother, Olympias, was intense, spiritual, and dangerous. She told young Alexander that he was no ordinary child, that Zeus, king of the gods, was his true father. From childhood, Alexander believed destiny flowed in his blood. At just 10 years old, he faced a wild, untamable horse, Bucephalus, while others failed. Alexander noticed the truth. The horse feared its own shadow. Alexander turned it toward the sun and tamed it. From that moment on, the boy and the horse became inseparable, destined to ride into history together. Philip wanted his son to rule not just with strength, but with intelligence, so he hired the greatest mind of the age, Aristotle. Under Aristotle, Alexander studied science, medicine, philosophy, politics, and warfare. But one story captured his soul above all others: Homer's Iliad. Alexander idolized Achilles. He slept with the book beneath his pillow. He dreamed not of living long, but of living forever through glory. By 16, Alexander ruled Macedon in his father's absence. By 18, he charged into battle at his father's side. The boy was becoming a commander, and the commander was becoming a king. In 336 BC, during a celebration, King Philip II was assassinated. Macedon stood on the edge of collapse. Alexander was only 20 years old. Greek cities rebelled. Enemies sensed weakness. Alexander answered with lightning speed and ruthless force. When Thebes rebelled, Alexander destroyed the city completely. Homes burned. Walls fell. Only temples and children were spared. The message echoed across Greece: Alexander is king, and he will not be challenged. Alexander inherited his father's unfinished dream: the conquest of the Persian Empire, the greatest empire on earth. In 334 BC, he crossed the Hellespont into Asia. He threw his spear into the soil and declared, "I accept Asia as a gift from the gods." At the Battle of the Granicus, Alexander personally led the charge. He was wounded. He nearly died, but his men followed him, because Alexander never asked them to go where he would not go himself. Alexander soon faced Darius III, king of Persia. At the Battle of Issus, Alexander's smaller force shattered Persia's massive army. Darius fled. Alexander captured Darius's family, but treated them with honor. This wasn't mercy, it was strategy. City after city surrendered. Then came Tyre, a powerful island fortress. For 7 months, Tyre resisted. Alexander built a road through the sea itself. When Tyre fell, it was annihilated. The world learned a terrible truth: resistance meant destruction. In Egypt, Alexander was welcomed as a savior. He was crowned pharaoh. He founded Alexandria, a city that would become the heart of ancient knowledge. Deep in the desert, Alexander visited the Oracle of Siwa. What the oracle said was never revealed. But when Alexander returned, he believed something profound: that he was not just a king, but a god. In 331 BC, the final confrontation arrived. Gaugamela. Darius brought everything: numbers, war chariots, elephants. Alexander brought genius. In one of history's greatest tactical maneuvers, Alexander pierced the Persian center and charged straight for Darius. Once again, Darius fled. The Persian Empire collapsed. Alexander stood as king of Asia, but Alexander could not stop. He marched east, into unknown lands, into Central Asia, into India. The battles grew brutal, the climate merciless. At the Issus River, his army refused to march further. For the first time in his life, Alexander turned back. The return through the Gedrosian desert was hell: heat, hunger, death. Thousands perished. Even legends bleed. Back in Babylon, Alexander dreamed of unity. One empire, one people. But his body failed him. Fever consumed him. At just 32 years old, Alexander the Great died. When asked who should inherit his empire, he whispered, "To the strongest." Alexander's empire shattered within years, but his legacy reshaped the world. Greek culture spread across continents. Cities flourished. Ideas lived on. Generals still study his battles. Leaders still chase his ambition. Alexander did not live long, but he conquered eternity. Some men rule kingdoms. Alexander ruled history itself.